What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Turbo. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it, you guys. This one comes to us at the request of FV. We're doing this for you, okay? Oh my goodness. Hold on. I gotta. Okay, there we go. There we go. 0.0024261 is the price right now. We have 21 hours, 30 minutes left in this day, the 9th of March. Just began. If we look at this here on a weekly basis, okay, weekly basis here, Turbo has certainly found its all-time high and it's going to zero. No, that's not what's happening. It's fine, you guys. It's not fine. Don't get me wrong. You're down 34% this week. Overall, you're down a lot since Coinbase listed you, right? Since all these exchanges listed you up here. But likely you're coming to the end of this, right? You are interacting with your all-time high, your actual all-time high. You are well below these areas. You've made the breakout move. Could you go lower is a question that a lot of people might be asking, and the answer is maybe. I don't know, maybe you do. If you were to go lower, let's see how much lower you could go. Well, on a daily basis, you didn't really find any resistance here. You do have some resistance here, which might be your saving grace. If you were to go lower at all, it would be very insignificant, down to 0.0023, okay? If you don't hold 0.0023, I have a feeling that you might drop all the way back down to about 0.00147. Overall, that would promote a drop that's, let's see, that's something of about a 90% drop, man. And maybe you do drop 90%. If Turbo drops 90% from its all-time high, I would suspect that would create a massive craze of buying down there. Anytime, the reason why a 90% drop is nice, okay? The reason why that's nice is that if you buy at a 90% drop, the risk to reward is dramatically better, right? You have a lot of upside potential. You don't have a whole lot of downside potential, at least not until you see some kind of recovery, right? Look at this range here. I don't even need to retrace half of it to get a 2x. Even if you're in it for a short time, even the tourists can make money. It'll attract the tourists. It'll attract the long-term investors, because if you're not a tourist, if you're here for a season, or maybe if you're a part-time resident, let's say, and you expect us to go back to new all-time highs, that's a 10x. You've got 10x potential, and I very much do believe Turbo will see new all-time highs. Even from the current price, it has 10x potential, let alone if it gets to a 90% drop. But that's why there's very strong incentives for investors, speculators, if they like a project, they've been waiting to buy it. If you get that 90% drop, it's discouraging to the long-term holders that bought at these highs, right? The people that bought the tops. It's discouraging for anybody that bought along the way. But it is actually normally a very good area to start considering some buys for some people at least. And it would make sense that we go down there because, again, that's a prior area of resistance back here. And then also, again, if you hold 0.0023, there's no reason to go below. I want to be clear. I'm not positive that you go down here. I'm not positive that you see an overall 90% drop, which would lead to, from the current price, lead to another 40% drop. I'm not positive that happens. I'm actually more inclined to believe that you do find support right at this white line here, just below where you are now. But anything can happen. I'm just addressing the possibilities of what's here. You're basically free floating right here, and the only thing stopping you is this. Okay. That's it. And even then, actually, you could go a little bit below there. Maybe you go below 0.0021669. Maybe that's where you go, somewhere in this area. If I had to bet where you're going to go, is it in this area here, or is it somewhere in this area? I would think the little circle is where you're going to find support, but I'm an optimist. Maybe you don't. If we look at this from a low here to a high of this little pivot from February 3rd, your 1618, your golden ratio, your golden extension is literally right there at the base of this range. Okay, right there. If we take another fib, something that might be more substantial than just this little pivoting daily wick here, something that comes from your low here to this high there, your 2272 is just above the white lines. And if you've been watching the channel even for a week, even for a couple days, you probably already are fully aware of this very real thing that happens with the 2272, which is that you wick below it, and then you might close above it. Even if you close below it, you're likely not long lived below the 2272. Okay, but that is a bottoming point. Okay, it is a bottoming area. Some of these lines are more like strict lines in the sand, like the 200 area, and even then you still wicked actually just below it. Some of these lines are more, let's say, flexible than they are rigid with their resistance points. They're more of like an area of resistance, but oftentimes this area is through, not prior to the 2272. Sometimes, but oftentimes it is through it, and that would take you to about 0.0023 to 0.0021669. And I wouldn't be surprised if you found support at either of those. You have been oversold on your daily RSI for quite some time. Quite some time indeed, my friends. You have broken out of your downtrend in the daily RSI. That doesn't mean that you're done moving lower just yet, but you're getting there. From a time perspective, that means you're getting there. And with this drop here, I wouldn't be surprised at all if you just had a little bit more to go and then that was it. So I'm going to get away from this now. Be prepared. It could drop a lot more, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Okay, I'll keep you guys informed if we do break those key areas of support. And obviously, the next key area to go to would be down here at this white line, and maybe even just below that. You've got the money zone down here, to be completely fair. I don't know if that happens, but I'm just saying, just listing it as a possibility. Okay, I am curious. Let's see, what do you got here from this overall low to high? I mean, there are targets that hold as support, but with the 382 here, it's very common, like the 2272, to go just below it on a wicking basis and then come up, and that actually would allow for you to go down here. I'm not saying it has to happen, but it could happen, okay? When it does come time to bounce, whenever that is, wherever you find your low, when it does come time to bounce, if we look at Turbo here and see what its market cap is, Turbo, your market cap right now is at about $167 million, okay? Decent volume, not crazy volume, but I mean, it's pretty nice. Let's see. And I mean, you're selling, so you might see a lot of volume there too on the sell side, but 17%, that's not bad, man. 167 million. You could see a 10x from here. You could see a 100x from here. A 10x would give you a $1.6 billion market cap. A 100x would give you a $16.7 billion market cap. A 100x from here would put you at about 24 cents. Okay. And that might be where you stop. That could be it. Maybe you don't even get that high. It doesn't have to be. But if you were to see, if 16 billion, I'm not saying 16 billion is an easy number or that it's just given. But we have seen plenty of cryptos who are in the top 200, the top 300, the top 500 that make their way up the rankings of the top 100, and even if it's just for a day, can see very substantially high market caps that don't last. That's their topping point, right? It's not meant to live there. It's meant to top there for people to sell if they're smart, or if they're tourists and they're scalping, whatever. But at a $16 billion market cap at 24 cents, that's pretty attainable. 32 billion, that would be at 48 cents, basically 50 cents. 32 billion, that would be pretty attainable market cap as well, 200x. What about 64 billion? What about 70 billion, right? That'd be something around a 400x. It's not necessarily given either. That we're getting a little bit less realistic, to be completely fair, but that would put you right around $1. A 400x would put you right around $1, and that's a nice psychological area of resistance. I'm not saying that you go there just because we can connect all the dots and paint the pretty picture like we want to, but if you were to go there, that would be a very obvious area to sell, right? I think it would be very obvious to sell $70 billion from something that's at 167 million. That's a high amount of growth. 400x overall after a torrential drop like this. I'm aware that Turbo has a lot of potential. I don't think it gets much past that, though. I don't think you break above $1. But I am committed to the idea. I acknowledge that you can see $1 in price, maybe even just above $1. But I would expect it finds resistance at $1, if not likely, most likely somewhere below. I wouldn't bet on $1. If someone had to ask, what would you bet Turbo does by the end of the cycle? I would say that I bet that it does see prices that are around 10 cents at least. At least. I'm not saying that it has to stop there, but at least there. That's where I'm thinking. 38 cents definitely on the table. $1.41, we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, and this is why I think $1 is probably not going to happen, right? That's normally when you break that far above the 2272, you do hit the 2618. But from there, that would be an overall. That'd be like you're over $100 billion in market cap, right? And are you? You'd be basically at 100 billion. I mean, anytime you get over 80, you become very unlikely for any coin, let alone a meme coin, let alone its first cycle. But Shiba Inu saw an $80 billion market cap last cycle, to be fair, in its first cycle. So I'm just saying it's possible. We've seen it happen before, but that was the one that did it, right? The one. Is Turbo the one? Maybe. Everybody hopes that their coin is the one, but maybe it is. Probably it isn't, right? So if it's the one, if we've got a Neo here, not the Neo crypto, but the one Neo, the Keanu Reeves Neo, okay? If this is the one that breaks the matrix, sure, maybe you hit $1.42, maybe you go there. Likely, you'll probably stop, I think, anywhere from 10 cents to 38 cents, maybe even just above that. I would say as high as 60 cents. Let's see if anything else lines up, because again, you go just above the 2272 if you are to interact with it most of the time. High to low here, we don't have the low, so it's actually not completely appropriate. It's not appropriate at all. It wouldn't be appropriate, but let's just see if anything lines up somewhat close now with the assumption that this thing goes lower. I mean, you've got some nice fibs that line up here. I mean, there's a lot of, to me, there will be a lot of room to believe that this thing does see an over 100x by the end of this cycle. But time will tell. I really do, if I had to favor any zone, I would say I really do favor that like 25 cent to 45 cent area, but time will tell. I got nothing else for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. The bear market for Turbo, that it's this mini bear market here, it's soon to be over. You had a lot of exchanges list you at your all-time highs, you guys. That's a lot of buying pressure that goes away. That's a lot of selling pressure that becomes enacted. So just you're dealing with that now. You're dealing with the aftermath. But I promise you, in a bull market, selling is anything but unattractive. To people who quote unquote missed the boat on this thing, this is very attractive right now. Okay, the only people that are laughing at you are just the haters, are just the shitheads, right? Are people that maybe got burned by this project. But the people who wish they bought down here, they're looking at this and they're licking their lips. They're like, man, this is a golden opportunity right here, man. You could get 100x on a meme coin, and that's everybody's fantasy with a crypto. So I got nothing else for you guys. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care of yourselves, okay? Bye-bye.